What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of DevTalks. Talk about everything engineering and technology with your host Travian. It's another beautiful week, another beautiful day. Hope you guys have all been good and great. And man, this is another week. This week, doing something different. It's not exactly reacting to in certain article. It's more or less probably responding based on what the article author had wrote and me giving my responses back based on how I feel being a software engineer and a bunch of other things. Basically, the article is called 10 Hard Pills to Swallow as a software engineer. And I'm gonna link the article in the description so that you guys can see exactly what it says and more in depth of what the actual author had said about the points that they made. But in this episode, I'm going to go through each one of the 10 points, give my takes on what I think the author is saying, explain what they're saying, and more based on that. But hopefully, it's a good one. Hopefully, you guys like it in a good format and all of that. But without further ado, let's just dive into this episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and always share it out. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, so as I said, there's 10 big topics in this, and there, I feel like it's a lot to go through, but I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. And then I hope that not only do existing engineers can relate to this whole episode and either the article or what I'm saying, but people who are wanting to become software engineers and go into the workforce get kind of a better understanding of what this may be. I doubt what this author of this article wants to do is discourage people from becoming software engineers, things. I think they want to bring more awareness to how life is actually going to be for you, especially because the first point on here is that college will not prepare you for your job. And maybe they think that there's just certain things that you will not get based on going to college and then actually doing your job. One thing that I will say is working in the industry definitely prepares you a lot. Once when you get down in there, and as I said, I'm going to try to get as deep in detail as on all of this information as possible. But when you're in college, I can understand what this person was saying. Like they're saying that you basically go to college and then you get to your day-to-day project after working on this on your stuff for 5 years. And another thing you'll notice is a lot of these points can lead back to college not preparing you possibly in this way. And I can only talk from my experiences from being in college and doing all of that, but helicopters going over, of course, it's always a great thing. Hopefully none of you guys heard that. But basically if some there's certain classes that prepare you to a degree, and then there's a lot of classes that just don't. Like maybe it prepares you in some other way, but maybe not in the sense that it's your day-to-day work and how you're going to be working in that kind of lifestyle per se. But yeah, so the first point they said is college won't prepare you for your job, and I can somewhat agree with it, but I can also not because here's a few things. I've taken classes, and I don't know how other universities have it, but I've had classes where not only did we work into sprints, we had teams, which working in a team is a major factor, especially people who you don't know entirely and not being working with your friends and stuff like that. You have to be comfortable working with new people, especially because if you're on a work team, that work team gradually changes. You work with a bunch of different people within the company and all this other stuff. So working in groups is a real plus to get able to learn these kinds of things and get comfortable in that kind of environment. But we also worked in sprints. For those, if you don't know what a sprint is, it's basically like a 2 week period of work that you will bring into your Kanban or like Jira board or stuff like Jira where and software engineers normally create tickets and they incorporate these tickets into tasks that they're going to do and that they're going to complete within the sprint cycle, however long it is. And they scale it based on difficulty, priority, and things like that. I was lucky enough to get this early off in my college, probably in junior year. It picked up when I took this one specific class. So either sophomore and junior year, you can really get this. But I also realized that the class that I did get this in early, they did not. This is from a new teacher that was trying new methods. So I can agree with, hey, this person's probably a way older person, and you not having that kind of experience in college because you were probably just given a group project and it wasn't worked out into sprints and all the things like that. So it just really didn't map up correctly. And you probably were like blindsided based off of it and how is this working and all of this other stuff. But that's I mean that's just something that I was able to get out of college, and not even the next thing is that I was gonna say is you also have certain classes, like I took a database class, right? If you want to be a data engineer, you work with SQL a lot. And that database class was one of my best classes ever. I had a really good teacher, but that SQL isn't something that like how to say like working with the databases and things like that in SQL, it's very easy to transfer that knowledge to other places and different places where you're gonna go, where you want to go, possibly. It's it's very conversational, and you can transfer that knowledge to if you were to become like a data engineer or a software engineer that works with SQL more often, and you have to understand what it is. What college is basically doing for you though is it's taking all of these things and it's like building you up to like somewhat understand what the language and what you're doing so that you can figure out how to do the work stuff when you get the job. And another thing is when you're in college, I greatly, if you're a software engineer in college, get an internship because that's going to prepare you more and for two things. One, you get to see how it is that they actually work and how stuff actually gets done in the workplace while you're still in school. Two, it you increase your odds of getting a job and a callback offer, and you have more experience now on your resume, so you can boost yourself up in applications for when you want to get your position. Three is if you did intern, now you can go back to your college colleagues who never did an internship, and if they're eager to learn, they will pick up stuff and they'll pick up how do I want to word it? You'll basically be able to pick up habits on what to continually do while you're not at that internship or in corporate America or whatever, wherever you'll be able to keep on working on these habits that you were working on and teach them. If somebody wants to learn, they can pick it up. Not everybody like understands it fully. They just want to do what the teacher tells them. Not everybody's going to listen to you in this aspect, but you'll definitely be able to pick up from and build up on these habits and so that you won't lose your touch from being in that environment and going back to school because school it might not be at that environment in every single class and stuff. School is definitely a thing that can help build up upon getting ready, but it doesn't fully prepare you because when you're actually in your job doing your work, and we're going to get into this more later, you're going to see there's a lot of things that you could be prepared by and things you can't be prepared by because of how the whole workflow is and stuff like that. And some things are done differently. You're not on call in school typically for like fixing stuff that goes down. Um Documentation is like even bigger, and that's this really leads us into the next thing is that you don't get greenfield projects in the workforce. So this is the next thing that the author brought up. And if you don't know what a greenfield project is, And it's crazy because I can really feel like I can rant about this forever, and maybe even make a whole YouTube series about this, but we'll see. If you want to get a more in-depth YouTube video about each one of these parts, then let us know. But you can't you don't get greenfield projects. What a greenfield project is basically a new project, something fresh, new that you can really express yourself. You don't really get those kinds of things. And this is pretty much true when you get to the workforce and you're actually working as a full-time engineer, even as an intern most of the time you're working on existing projects already, unless you're at some kind of startup or whatever. You are working on an existing code base that has a bunch of code, has a bunch of documentation everywhere. Maybe not everything's documented appropriately, and it's really one of the reasons why documentation is the probably one of the most important things in a software engineer's life when you get to work. If somebody doesn't like documentation, I feel like they're really holding back new engineers, because this is how you get stuff. If you this can help you from one, engineers coming to bother you so much that you have to always walk through something with them, and then two, it helps people like figure out stuff a lot easier. Like, what's the procedure? What do you do from here? And all of this other stuff. Like, it really helps engineers be able to get their feet wet, their hands dirty, whatever terminology you want to do, and work on this stuff on their own, compared to always having to ask for help. What's going on? How do I understand this better? How do I navigate this? Because a lot of these projects have a bunch of layers to them. Even at work, there's projects that I work on that have a bunch of layers to them. Like, that is not a joke. You can have repositories that point to other repositories. You need to set up a bunch of stuff for deployment. You need permissions to go to different areas and things like that. There are so many contextual layers in these projects, and that are not fresh and new. But there are occasional times where you might be able to set up a project depending on what's going on at your company, but it's not as frequent as you may think it is. Um, Normally, you're just working out an existing code base and doing changes off of that, and maintenance or whatever, or development off of that, or updates off of it, or security stuff and all of that kind of fun. So this person the author is actually very correct. And I keep saying author, but the person's name is actually Mensur Durakovic. Durakovic, I want to say. So Mensur, hopefully I'm saying his name right. Mr. Durakovic, but he wrote this is he's actually quite correct in this point. I pretty much agree with him a lot on. In school, and this is how I said it's gonna relate back to this college thing. In college, or even at boot camps, you're given a lot of small assignments that you can create from scratch, that you can build up on your own, that you can do things like that that are very small, possibly like 500 lines of code, 500 to 1,000, versus these projects at work, you're messing with like 20,000 lines of code minimum. Like, the code really builds up quickly in these projects, and if you're not there at the beginning, it can take you some time to really catch up and get the hang of things, because that's just that's just how much there is to really work through. Like, between all the logic, the party devices, the security stuff about it, the databases that you work with. And if you really want to look at this article, because it gives a nice picture and graphic image of how these projects kind of look in the as a software engineer if you're working at a company, because it's actually quite funny and stuff. So it's really relatable, and things of that accord. I I really didn't expect me to go on a rant this much about some of these topics and stuff, but hey, like, I really put each one of these in their own part. It really The next part is about clean code. So this is the number 3 point. It says nobody gives a f about your clean code. A lot of kids come out of college and stuff. They want to have clean code. They want to have code that makes sense and that's very readable. You You're gonna think that you get a bunch of praise from it. You may not. It depends on where you're coming from. One thing that I can definitely for myself, I like seeing workspaces that are very structured. It's organized very well. When I was an intern, my boss at the time wanted me to make sure when I finish my project that it can be organized better, that people can navigate it a lot clearer. It's a lot more understandable. It's broken apart properly, and things about that accord. But it's having clean organ. Maybe not clean code, but having a code base that's very organized that you can go around and scale it very well is a plus. But spending unnecessarily amount of time cleaning your code, making sure that you have clean code can really be an issue. Because you're not gonna get praised by how your code really looks. You need to make sure stuff works. It's testing that you can understand and write documentation on it, because if years go by and another engineer comes into this and they're trying to figure out how to work around this kind of stuff, then you will not know, they won't know how to get around it properly. And maybe you're like, hey, it's not my problem, it's their problem to figure it out. And you're right. You are completely right. But anything helps, honestly. If you want to help out with them, like that's really a plus. But the author basically, Mensur, said you have to think of this like cycle in the article, and the cycle that he brought up was that the engineer writes code, user gets features, more users use the product, company profits from products, and the code is basically just whatever. It's just a tool so that the company can get profits. And maybe in this kind of portion of it, like, one, you're not going to get a raise based off your clean code. You're going to get a raise on your productivity, what you're doing, how are you helping, what are you learning, your knowledge that you know, not particularly because your code's clean. And what this person is basically, the author is basically saying is, code is just a tool for profit. If you're helping to get the profit and you're making stuff work, then it's a plus for you. You're going to get more praise for that than stuff that looks good and pretty. And that is true. That's really true. The people upstairs, they want to get the profit. That's all they care about. Mainly, it depends on really the culture at your business and stuff. Things can like really scale. Maybe some people care more about you and like the overall culture of the business, but profits are definitely needed so the company can grow. And however much you're saving the company and things like that are going to look up for you and your growth as an engineer to come from. So that's pretty much the part of that. This is a very short segment. The next one is sometimes you'll work with incompetent people. Now, this one, at first glance, it bothered me. Some Yes, when you are in a company, you're gonna run into people who you probably don't get along with. In school, you're gonna run into people you don't get along with. This is why I was saying like you'll work in groups that you you'll work in groups where and when you're in a school and you're working on projects, working in groups with people you don't know and who aren't your friends is really good practice for the workforce, because you're able to get these teams together. And when you're in a team, it's a lot easier to mesh with different people and basically grow and have a way friendlier culture and environment at work, basically, than like just being like, oh, you're working with um like this person's incompetent, they don't know what's going on, they're acting this way. Like, yeah, at times, like, I can sometimes feel like there's people coming out of the woodwork and they say certain stuff and it's like, yo, like, you don't understand our process or something. This is our process and things. But basically, the advice that the author gave was to just be efficient and productive as much as you can and focus on yourself and not the actual person. Try other solutions and options. Don't involve that person in the process of it. Document everything you do. That's a major plus. So you can have, they said to do that so you have proof of their competence. But just to stop on that point real quick, when you are working, make sure nothing stays in private messages between you and a person. You want to have everything in a public eye, either in a thread if you're using Slack or something, or in a Jira ticket conversation. Every conversation that you guys have, you want to have in a public eye where other people can see it, so that people can see the progress that's getting done, the conversations that are being held, and things like that, so that you also don't have your head on the chopping block. Like, it's a lot more updated and control, and it will save you doing that. Don't, like, when I say document, you need to document what your code does and what you're doing, but you also have to document these conversations in some type of way. And documenting a conversation would basically having it in these public areas, for other people to witness and see, so that you're able to get out of those blockers and stuff. If you do, and continuing on with the author's advice, though, if you have any blockers that a person didn't do their job, try asking somebody else. That's another thing. Sometimes people don't see a message or email, or sometimes people go away on like PTO or whatever. So just see if there's anybody else that can help you if stuff starts taken out, or if you're really blocked on a person or a specific team, just raise it up to your management. And right, giving it to your management and your managers and your directors, whatever, and giving them awareness of why you're like blocked on your job, it really helps. They'll go out and reach out for you. They're more understanding that way versus like not knowing what's going on. And this is one of the things that's good about talking in your stand-ups. Not only what you're doing, but in your like little parking lot times, being able to get some of this out in the air and make it clear, so that you don't feel like you're always under pressure. And we're gonna get into uncertainty later, but it really lifts a lot of weight and pressure off of your shoulders. So that's definitely good. And you can the last advice they gave is to talk to them directly and just try to be professional but not mean, and like try to help them out. But there's no need to be rude to people who are like this. Don't entertain it or anything like that. If you have somebody like breathing down your neck or trying to make it seem like something that it may not be, like, just take it with a grain of salt, and like just treat it with sugar. Like, that's a new saying. Like, it will be fine. It will the storm will pass. Just take it how it is, and try to just find the best professional route around it, so that everybody can get what they want and get it done in a timely manner. Five, almost halfway done, and this has been rolling for a minute. This is gonna be a long one, I can already tell. Um, get used to meetings for hour. Um, Before I dive deep into this whole topic, I want to stop a misconception, is that ever since COVID has started, a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're just in meetings forever all day. We can't get any work done. We we're just like in Zoom meetings or Microsoft Team meetings, and they just go on for hours at a day." And yes, you will have hours of meetings every single day. You will have that, whether it's one-on-one times, team meetings, stand-ups, meetings to talk about whatever project that you guys are on so that you can plan it. Yes, you will have these long-winded meetings. But even if you were in the office, and I've spent some time in the office, and I've done meetings with people in real life as well too, you are going to be in a meeting. Those same meetings you're going to do in person or online or whatever. You're going to have those same time with other people. Hey, maybe in person you'll be able to work better in the meeting or whatever. I don't know, everybody's different, but those meetings are the same meetings that you would have in person, literally. Maybe it may seem more personal when you're in the office or something, but you're not getting more time. It's just easier to get a meeting with you because like people just put it on your calendar. And this is daily and weekly. You're gonna have these meetings, even in person. Like, if you need help from one of your colleagues, you're gonna turn to them and ask them for help or whatever. And maybe it will be quicker because you're in person. But even in Zoom, if you need help, you will hop in a quick Zoom meeting. and it's going to take time. You're not going to just sit there on your computer. Meetings and communication is so important. And sometimes it does feel like it can drain out depending on what you're talking about and things and what's going on. But that's just a fact you have to live with, man. That's part of the job. It's gonna be there regardless, and there's no way really around it. Like, in sometimes some people try to have like conversations through like messaging and stuff, but sometimes that can take longer than just having a 10-minute meeting about it, and you figure out stuff a lot more clearer. It's understood a lot better. Having meetings can unblock teams from like misconceptions and misunderstandings. So you're not end up doing more work or sending people on wild group chats, but group goose chases. But that's that's a plus. That's something that you definitely have to live in as an engineer. Number six. Now that we're past the halfway mark, coming in about over 25 minutes now. This is a 12-minute read. It says, and just talking about it and adding extra context is definitely going to quadruple the time that it would have taken to read just this article on its own. But I hope everybody's getting a lot of enlightenment, enlightenment and stuff like this, and really curious about what's happening and how other engineers are possibly feeling. Because basically, I want treating this as a conversation with this engineer and seeing what he says to me and going back to my experiences and stuff, which I feel are very important. So the next point is that they'll ask you for estimates lots of times. Um, he talks about how every project has a cost, how businesses uh, revolves around money, costs. Management needs to know how long stuff's gonna take. This is basically where prioritization and stuff comes with. Sometimes you'll have a project manager or product manager, something like that, that will help prioritize work for you and things like that. And you will do these prioritized work in the sprint. But like if you're given tickets to do, whether it's in Jira or whatever software your company is using, you will put how many story points that you think it's going to be, like how difficult it is, and these story points are going to revolve around how long you may think it will take or how difficult the task it will be. So like one point would be like, oh, this is something I can knock out in 5-10 minutes or something, and 3 to 5 points might be days, a day or multiple day long task, and like things like that. For instance, everybody scales very differently when it comes to like grading stuff in sprints. But I also had a project in college where we put story points on tickets, and we used Jira in college, and it was just based on how difficult do you think these tasks are going to be, and on all of that stuff. So it's really gonna go on that, and that's how long you think it may be. Sometimes, if certain tasks take longer than expected, then you are going to get people asking you, "Hey, how much longer on this? What's going on?" This is why it's very important to update uh, management and people like that, because, as we were saying, like in the competent people task, like if you're telling your managers what's going on and what's blocking you and stuff like that, they are not coming to you constantly for estimates. Maybe other people will be coming to you for estimates, especially if you guys have a large backlog of tasks that you need to do and stuff to help people out or whatever. It just really depends. But you're doing a lot of work, man. Like you're gonna get stuff done at the time that you're gonna get stuff done. Nothing's gonna make it go quicker or faster. You're giving the team that you're gonna get, and that's just the life of software engineering and getting used to it. You're gonna have people that come up to you and ask you about how long is this gonna be done, or can you get it done by then, or and stuff like that. But you're you're gonna have people around you, hopefully, that can protect you from this stuff. But and I guess that's kind of how you know if you're in a good environment or not. But that is gonna come with the life. People are gonna want to get stuff done. People have deadlines. People are going to be very anxious and curious, and a whole bunch of other stuff beyond that. So So yeah, I mean that's that's step six, or not step six. That's the sixth point that's on the article. And without further ado, we're gonna knock out these next 3 points. Hopefully they don't take too long. But number seven is how bugs are your arch enemy. So let's dive into that point. So yes, bugs are not the little critters. No bugs are gonna be crawling out of your laptops and stuff like that. Hopefully not. That's very nasty. But as far as your whole code and everything, bugs are going to be there, man. And sometimes, like, this goes with like the whole estimated time thing. Sometimes it's good to estimate a little bit extra time because everything doesn't like happen exactly how you expect it to happen. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've done something before, and yes, sometimes it goes well, done well, and like it happens the exact way that it's supposed to happen. But there are other times that, hey, I go dive right into a task to do, and we run into an issue, and we run into a bug or a problem and stuff like that with it, because nothing's going to work 100% of the time. I mean, that's just life. You're gonna realize that you're working on stuff occasionally and it doesn't work the first time, the second time, the third time, or this 20th time, and stuff is going to come up. Not everything is going to be run exactly how you expect it to run. It's not going to be exactly smooth and perfect, and a whole bunch of other stuff from that. So, yeah, I mean, that you're gonna definitely need to, how do I say, you're definitely gonna need to have some patience around that. And going back into the last point, you will definitely need to add a little bit extra time to your estimates on how you can get something done, based on a what if, what's going to happen if this error does occur, or if an error does occur and stuff like that. Like, how long will it take to fix it? Is it something that we ran into before? Am I just missing something that I didn't know? There's a lot of different things that can cause bugs that come into your life, but it really is the life of a software engineer, because they're more frequent than you may think. Stuff happens all the time. Uh, it may not entirely be you. It could be you. I mean, it's also a learning experience, because one thing that I do like about bugs showing up, even though like they're a pain in the butt, seeing them come up all the time, or frequently or occasionally, seeing them pop up anytime is just, they're always a nuisance. Nobody wants to really deal with it and understand what's going on as far as it, but you will learn a lot from fixing and solving them. There are certain times where I may not know how something works, and I get an error, or some bug happens, or things of that accord. And in the process of fixing it, you learn more about how the actual process works, and what you can do is to not run into it again, especially errors. So if you ever see one, take it as a challenge. And if you can't solve it on yourself, feel free to always ask for help, and see if anybody else is familiar with it or can spot something that you can't spot. When you're working with code, you're going to run into so many different things. Not everybody's going to know everything, but the more that you run into, the more that you know how to work, and the more your seniority goes up, because now you have more experience within working with this specific task. So you're going to get it done, you're going to work on it, you're going to accomplish what your goal is, and many more things from that. So that, you can always look at them as a plus instead of something that's more negative. But the truth is, everything has it. There's going to be bugs everywhere. Don't trust everything 100%. And always get other people to review your stuff, because it is very important. Uncertain. Now, I said earlier we're going to get to uncertainty. This in this part 8, the author titled it "Uncertainty Will Be Your Toxic Friend." And this also relies with imposter syndrome. I remember when I was an intern, and you guys can look at my one of my first few episodes when I was talking about being an intern and my experiences according to that. You will run into and have this feeling that you won't belong or you'll be uncertain about doing certain stuff, whether it's secure, like whether it's if you want to move to another team, if it's okay to do this particular process, if you're doing something correctly, a task correctly, if you're solving a bug correctly, if you want to just move to a different company, if you're gonna reach a deadline, if you want to bring something up to a higher up or to a colleague, or if you don't know if you're good enough, you're gonna run into uh, a lot of uncertainty. You don't know what you're gonna do. You may be confused and things like that, but my best advice for this is just do it. Like, really put some thought, sit there. If you're uncertain about something, if you have that imposter syndrome, just sit there and put some real thought into it. And after you put that real thought into it, do it. And two things are gonna happen. Either it's gonna go good or it's gonna go bad. Who knows? But you will never know unless you try it. And if you're uncertain about something, ask questions. Look for advice. Ask questions. Look for advice. See what you can potentially gain or learn from this information. And it will benefit you so much more to do that. Even some people are uncertain about their job security. Like you might be worried about losing your job. Hey, what departments are in you? How can you get better security around your job and things like that? Just go out and talk to people. You have coworkers and colleagues for a reason. Hopefully, you're in a good culture and environment in your workspace, and that you're able to do this. If you're not, then try to find other people to talk to. And if you have extra questions after putting thought into it, and that really is my best advice around that, because what else are you going to do if you're uncertain? What are you really going to do besides think about it and ask a question around it and try to figure it out? Those are the only things you can do when you're feeling uncertain or like you're not feeling the right way. So I mean, take it how you want to take it, but that's really all there is to do. That's all you really can do. And we're getting into the next two major points. These are the final 2 points. It's been a journey talking about all this. This stuff excites me so much, and some of you may not know, but like it's very interesting. It's I find it really interesting because this is one of the first time I'm live reacting with you guys in a sense. Like I've already looked over the article and stuff like that, and I have my notes and things, of course. But this is um something that's new and things that I want to try more of, and possibly some things that I will do if I ever came to camera where you guys can follow it with me. Maybe it's a live stream, who knows? Really, like and you never know what the future holds, but point 9 is it will be impossible to disconnect from your job. There are times that you can feel like this. Like if you're on call, um, you're gonna see stuff from your job and like, oh, I have to get it done or try to figure it out and things like that. It really depends on your schedule. You'll be thinking about work. There's times when I run into an issue or a bug. See how this stuff just like keeps reoccurring. Like these points, one thing that you'll learn in software engineering, a lot of things overlap with a lot of things. A lot of these points, if you don't realize, they overlap with other points. And that this goes with a lot of things in life. If you want to sit there and think about other stuff in life that you do and break them into points, see how they relate to each other. They relate to each other almost flawlessly because like even as a software engineer, I know plenty of us have taking a break from some code, you have an issue and you really need to think about how to solve it, and it's just been on your mind, and like say you take a nap or something and you dream about the solution and then you wake up and you try that solution, it may or may not work, but you're still thinking about it somehow. It's on your mind and things like this. But there are definitely times where work can try to come into more of your personal life or overstep. It really depends because, hey, you might have work messaging or something on your computer or phone, and you didn't mark yourself as away when you're off work, or you didn't mute your notifications, like your Slack notifications. It's good to do that when you're, especially on the weekend and stuff like that, when you don't want to be bugged about work. It's good to have hobbies and stuff so it takes your mind away from work. And like this particular hobby, doing this podcast, may not take my mind away from work because I talk about some work stuff sometimes or what I do for work, but this is what interests me. So it's one of the many things that I do that I don't think about certain stuff, or I try to get certain stuff off my mind and about that. But it's good to quiet off your emails and your Slack and all of that other work related stuff. It's good for you to go and do other stuff. It's good for you to get away from a computer, especially as a software engineer. I'm on a computer or looking at a screen all day. It is so great to be out in the wild and wilderness with some of my friends, Brendan and Cameron. They've been on this podcast as guests before. We go on hikes. And you know what's so beautiful about going on a hike? You're in nature. No technology at all. Maybe we use our All Trails app or something, but one thing I noticed, a lot of software engineers hike. And it's so great to just get away from a computer, just go do that physical labor, go look at the beautiful sights and things like that, and just be in nature and be around other people in person and like have real conversations and eat good food and do all this other stuff. I like going to do a lot of events, especially when I'm off work, like going out to events, concerts, football games, sporting games, and things like that, or spending time with family and things. I like doing all of this stuff because it gets my mind off of work. Going to the gym, and it helps me really disconnect so that I'm not always at a computer and I'm thinking about work all the time. I don't It's not good to do. You have to really find that work life balance, especially if you're working remotely. It can be very hard because you're in your office and your office is right there. And for me, my office is in my bedroom for right now until I'm able to split them up. So like work is always right here. Like it's really hard to get away from. So just try your best to get away from running into that type of habit of trying to disconnect from work, but you can't, and all of this other stuff. Um, but yeah, like take all these as some advice. If you needed ideas on how to disconnect from work, there's some ideas. Those are some things that I do, and learning a little bit more about myself as well too, I guess. But just do what you like to do, man. Get away from them computer screens and stand up, do something, hang out with people, just to get away from it. Mute your notifications when you're on off hours, especially if you're working somewhere that works globally and people in different time zones. Like figure out what works best for you. But now we're on the final point. So the author seems to believe that you'll profit more from good soft skills than good technical skills. I wanted to take a deep breath on that because he's 100% right. Hey, a million percent right. Especially in my experience, you could be the best engineer in the world, but if you have bad soft skills, you're not going to make it far. Especially if you're starting out, you get a lot further. You get a lot further. Besides communication, like even the author listed out some stuff, some soft skills. But besides communication, teamwork, learning mindset, you always want to be eager to learn something, especially when you're on a team and you're new to something and you need to figure it out. And technology advances so much, you always have to be ready to learn. You always have to work on a team. Like having good time management and organization, that's going to help a lot of people around you. Having emotional intelligence and empathy towards your coworkers and stuff, because not everything might not be right with them all the time. Be approachable. You want people to come to you in confidence and believe in you and think that you can help them or guide them to the right place. Being persistent but also patient at the same time, knowing that good balance is going to really help you on when you're waiting for something, but always making sure you do it in the right manner, and you not to get overwhelmed about it, and being confident. Your confidence is going to carry you throughout life, through anything, not just being a software engineer. All of these soft skills are going to help you in any career, I believe, and they're going to be so amazing. And just being the best technical coder is not going to help you, because this is one thing. Yeah, you could be the best technical coder, right? But yeah, that's it. You could just work, I guess. But maybe you don't know how to communicate certain stuff the right way. It's gonna hinder your teammates. Um, Maybe you just aren't approachable. People can't don't want to come to you, things like that. So stuff's not getting done appropriately. Maybe you're not approachable, so people don't come to you for advice to learn and things like that. So they don't grow, and you're not helping anybody at any time to grow what's going on at the company or whatever. You're not helping any other software engineers or people like that or analysts or things like that. Yeah, you're not if you don't know patience the right you don't know the right persistence and patience balance, then you might be going about it, and some people might feel bugged or feel like you're trying to be rude and things like that. These soft skills are really amazing. They're going to help you grow overall, and especially if you have that learning mindset, you're just going to become a better technical person with your job. If you have all these soft skills, you'll be able to get more of this technicality from work because of you having these skills. Um, there's people who are very technical, and people, even the author said they work with technical folks who are wonderful technically, but they're awful to work with. Like, you just like it. It's there's you need to find a balance with it all. You're gonna grow way more technically having these soft skills, and people are gonna want you around more, and they're gonna like you better, and all of things like this. Like, if you don't believe me, see for yourself. But I definitely believe working on that, it's gonna help you win over your interviews. It's gonna help you with a bunch of stuff. It's gonna help you with life. Period. The author concludes saying that software development is not a dream job. Some people want to do this stuff, but I feel like you just need to know what you're going into, how you're gonna do it. There is a lot of positive to it. Even the author agrees with there's being a lot of positive to being a software engineer and doing software development and stuff like that. But hey, man, these are 10 hard to swallow truths apparently about being a software engineer. And Mensur, thank you for writing this wonderful article. As I said, I'm going to link it in the description below. But this is amazing. Like, I've seen no wrong in this. This is his opinion. He's been working however long he's been working. And this is an amazing article. I agree with many points. I can relate with many points of what this Mensur is talking about. And I mean, dang, that it feels good to be done. It feels good to go through this, to see what other people are really understanding, what they're thinking about and stuff. But yeah, so hope you guys all like this episode, man. Let me know if you like this format of me just going through an article like this. If you want me to go through other articles, feel free. I'll break them down. Go based off my experiences around them and things like that. If you have any articles you would like me to review, send them in. Send them in. Drop them in the comments. Do something. Um, I think my email is in the channel, so you guys can find it on YouTube and stuff where you can send me these articles and you can find me the right way. Also, just take care, guys. I'll see you guys next week. I'm trying to have a bunch of good content come on the way. I'm hoping that this platform continues to grow. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, do all of that fun stuff. It's been a ride, it's been a journey, it's been good. And thank you all for listening today. See you on the upside.